Hi guys, welcome to today's class, and in this tutorial we are going to be talking about the respiratory system. So I will advise you that if you are yet to take our class on the cardiovascular system and the lymphatic system, you should probably go back there and we are going to be provided with the link. So let's get started with the respiratory system. I'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back. Now, talking about the respiratory system. Respiratory system. Now, as usual, respiratory system is just from two words. So the first one is respiratory. And this respiratory is gotten from the word respire. Res what? Respire. And now, what is the meaning of respire? Respire means to breathe. Now, you can either breathe in or you breathe out. So the process of breathing in is known as inspiration. Inspiration, just like from the word inspire. And for the out, it is called expire. Expiration. So, as humans, what we breathe in is oxygen, and what we breathe out is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. So that is what we breathe out. So this is just the introduction. And now when you say system, system means combination of organs. Combination of what? Combination of organs. Now from everything we've said, you should know that there are some organs inside the respiratory system. We will listen them later. But from these, you can come up with what definition of respiratory system. By saying the respiratory system is what? A system that deals with what? With the breathing in of oxygen and breathing out of what? Of carbon dioxide. So with the aid of what? With the aid of its organs. So as simple as that. Now, let me quickly talk about a little fact about this respiratory system. The point is that people think we used to breathe in and out just for survival's sake alone. So just for the fact that I want to succeed. I want to survive rather. So I have to breathe like. And now let me tell you this. Where did they get that notion from? So they got that notion from films. So we used to see in movies that people will just obstruct someone's breathing. So just put some kind of pillow on their face and then they're going to pass out in just like a minute at most. So for movie. So they believe breathing deals with survival. Yes, they are right, but that is not the essence of breathing. So the essence of breathing, so survival is part of it. So like breathing and not like, so survival is part of it too. But breathing actually goes beyond that. And now, the essence of breathing is to feed ourselves. Trust me, you will understand that as I proceed. And why? You'll get to understand that now in the next thing. So the point is the reason why we breathe is not just for survival alone. So just like you watched it in film, like breathing is related with life. So once they stop someone breathing, the person is going to die. So just that is just true. So the real essence of breathing is to feed all our body cells. So with what? With oxygen. And now, permit me to explain that to you properly. So I'd like to rub the board and start with that. Hi, right back. Yeah, welcome back. And now to understand these, let's quickly draw something called the respiratory tract. Now, respiratory tract. Respiratory tract. Now, the word respiratory is talking about breathing. You said that from respire. So, and the word tract means a passage. So if you say respiratory tract, it means the passage for what? For breathing. So when you breathe in or out, where does the air passes through? So that is the meaning of respiratory what? Respiratory tract. And now let's start. So Now, we are going to be making the diagram more perfect in the next scene. So, but this is enough for us to explain what we need. Now, this is what the respiratory tract, this is what it looks like. It starts from this pointed end called the nose. And from the previous scene, I told you that we breathe in oxygen. So if this is oxygen now, the oxygen is going to pass through the person's nose, and from the nose into the space behind the nose. And in anatomy, when you say space, space means what? Cavity. And now the cavity is behind the nose. So anatomically, if you want to join cavity with nose, you change to something called nasal. So nasal means anything pertaining to the nose. I hope you are getting that. So this cavity will be called the nasal cavity. The nasal what? The nasal cavity. So air is going to enter it, oxygen to be precise. And from there, it's going to pass like this into this tube-like structure at the back. So this tube-like structure is called the pharynx. The what? The pharynx, as simple as that. And from there, the air is going to tilt, take a turn into the structure. So, and this structure is called the larynx. The what? The larynx. And from there, the oxygen will go down into this tube-like structure called the trachea. The trachea. And from there, to continue downwards, and it will bifurcate at this region. We'll talk about that very well later. So into smaller, into two branches. So and these two branches from trachea is called bronchi. Bronchus for singular, bronchi for plural. So into the bronchus, and from the bronchus, it's going to enter into the what? Into smaller branches of bronchus, and those smaller branches are called bronchioles. What? Bronchioles. So if you are in our anatomy class, our cardiovascular system class, you will understand this. So eos means smaller branching of the preceding word. So if you say bronchioles, it means the smaller branches of what? Of bronchi. As simple as that. And from there, they are already inside the what? Inside somewhere called the lungs. So that is the what? This is the respiratory tract. So the point is that oxygen is going to enter through the nose. And from the nose into the what? Into the nasal cavity behind it. And from the nasal cavity into the what? Into the pharynx, which is a tube-like structure. And from the pharynx, it enters into the what? Into the larynx. And from the larynx into the what? Into the trachea. From the trachea into the what? Into the two bronchi. And from the bronchi into the what? Into the bronchioles. And then bronchioles already inside the what? Inside the lungs. Now, what is happening to that oxygen in the lungs? That is a big question. And that is going to clear all the what? All the misconception on the notions I told you about earlier on. Now, let's continue. What will happen to this oxygen inside the lungs? I would like to clean the board and talk about it. But do not forget, we're actually in this, at this junction rather. So I proceed my explanation from there. So, I'll be right back. Now, we've understand that the air passes through the nose and then into the cavity behind the nose called the nasal cavity. And from there into the pharynx, from the pharynx into the larynx, from the larynx into the trachea below, from the trachea it bifurcates into what? Bifurcate means divide into the what? Into the bronchi. And from bronchi into the what? Into the bronchioles, which are smaller branches of bronchi. And from there into the lungs. Now, what is happening to our air inside the lungs? Let's take a look at that one. Now, this is the lungs. So, and now we understand that the trachea will branch into what? Into the bronchi, and then inside the lungs, into the lungs rather. Now, within this lung, we have the bronchioles, right? And the bronchioles, they are going to end in something called alveoli. So this small shaped structure is called alveoli. Now, let's magnify this diagram. So let's see what it looks like. So this structure is just like this. So when oxygen enters into the what? Into the bronchioles. From bronchioles, it's going to enter into the alveoli. So this structure right here is the alveoli. Although there's still more to the system than just this, you get that as we proceed on. Now, when oxygen enters into the what? Into the what? Into this alveoli, we have some kind of blood vessels. Excuse me, let me pick a red marker. So, when oxygen, when it enters into the what? Into the lungs, into the alveoli rather, the alveoli is surrounded by a network of what? Network of capillaries. So networks of what? Of blood capillaries. So these capillaries, it contains what? It contains blood. Now, what is going to happen? This oxygen is going to enter, it's going to diffuse into the what? Into this blood. And now, where is this oxygen going to? This oxygen is going straight up back into the structure called the heart. So for those who attended my class on cardiovascular system, so they understand this, I trust them on that. But just for the sake of others, let's quickly do this so we can understand very well. So these are the sketch of the heart. And now when oxygen comes back into the what? When it comes back into the heart, oxygenated blood. So the blood is going to be pumped out. So oxygen is going to be pumped out of the blood. So and it's going to be going to a structure called the aorta. Or let's just say blood vessel generally now. It goes into the what? Into the blood vessels. Now let me start the tracing again. Once oxygen is inside the lungs, it's going to be deposited inside the structure called the alveoli. But the alveoli is covered or surrounded by what? By blood capillary. So the blood what? The blood capillary. And now, do not forget, in our cardiovascular system and our lymphatic, we said the function of capillary bed is to serve as as a form of exchange, as a site of exchange rather. So exchange will occur here, oxygen will go in, but something will go out. I'll talk about that later. Now the point is, oxygen is going to leave the blood capillary and then go into the what? Into the heart. And from the heart will pump it into the what? Into the general circulation. So now, the blood vessels, I told you in our lymphatic system that anybody that's blood can any body part rather, where you can pinch and get blood, the capillary bed is there. So when I said the function of those capillary bed is what? To feed the cells. Now, the point is, this blood vessel will end up later to form what? To form the capillary bed. Now, inside it is the blood with oxygen. So we have what? We have oxygen inside the blood. Oxygen. So for those of you that have been following my class ever since the cardiovascular is to the lymphatic, so this oxygen is going to enter into the cell with the aid of which prayer? Hydrostatic prayer. Hydro what? Hydrostatic prayer. And that is where the what? That is where our oxygen is going. So it is going into the blood and then to the what? Into the tissue space to feed our cells. So our cells need what? So our cells need oxygen. So they need oxygen to survive. And that is what? That is the tract of oxygen, right from the lungs into the blood and then into the cells. So I'll take it one more time. So when oxygen reaches the alveoli, the point is that it is going to diffuse into the blood capillary surrounding it. And the blood capillary is a kind of blood vessel. So I need to come back to the what? Into the heart. So hereby transporting the oxygen back into the what? Into the heart. And from the heart into the blood vessel. So from the blood vessel into a capillary bed. And provided nearly our body has what? Capillary bed. So oxygen is going to leave with the aid of hydrostatic prayer into what? Into the cells. And that is the purpose of breathing. The purpose of breathing oxygen is to feed our cells with what? With oxygen. So I think the misconception has been cleared. So it is not a matter of just obstructing someone's airway and the person is going to die under 30 seconds, just like we see in a movie. No. So this is how it works. So that is where oxygen is what? That is where oxygen is coming to. Now, let me quickly join in some things. And then we'll talk about the types of respiration. And then you will understand it very well. Now, here, I said is a what? It's a capillary bed, which means exchange is occurring, right? But I only talked about giving oxygen. So the blood, the blood in the blood capillary is not giving anything back. But the point is, this oxygen is just like food for our what? For our cells. And as human, whenever you eat, you have to what? You have to pass out the waste products and feces. Same thing with our cells. So when they feed on oxygen, some metabolic activity is going to occur. Or let me do some cellular activity that are not metabolic. Of course, it's metabolic as well. I'm not going there later, Sha. We're going to be talking about metabolism very well. The anabolism and metabolism. So I don't want you to get it twisted here. So I don't want you to get it mixed here. So the point is, these cells, they are going to produce an end product called CO2. CO what? CO2, which is carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide now enter back into the what? Into the bloodstream. I hope you are getting that. So, with the aid of which prayer, that will be osmotic. And when that occurs, they are going to follow the same step as that of this oxygen. What they are going to do as well is that they are going to enter into the bloodstream, and from the bloodstream, they will come right into the what? Into the lungs. So, CO2. So they will come back into the what? Into the lungs. Although, if you watch my video on CVS, you will know that they are going to go to the heart first, and the heart will now take them back to the lungs. So, this is just for understanding sake, just for us to get it very well. But if you watch my video on the cardiovascular system, I take you to understand this, that this is very wrong. But this is just teaching you. This is just teaching you what I want you to know. Now, the point is okay. Let me just take it the standard way. The point is this CO2 to follow the same pattern as this oxygen as well. So the capillary bed is a blood vessel. So it's going to take the CO2 back into what? Back into the heart. And from the heart, it will go back into the what? The CO2 will go back into the lungs like this. I hope you are getting that. And once the CO2 reaches the lung, it's going to diffuse as well back into the what? Back into the alveoli. And from there, it's going to go out. And that's how we breathe out the carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide we breathe out is from what? It's from our cells. And the oxygen we breathe in is for what? Is for our cell. So we breathe in oxygen for our cell, and we breathe out what? CO2 from our cells. As simple as that. Now let me take it one more time. I said, when we breathe in oxygen, oxygen went down to the alveoli. From the alveoli into the blood capillary, surrounding the alveoli. And from there, the blood capillary will take it down to the heart. And the heart will pump into the into blood vessels. And blood vessels will end up in what? In capillary bed. So at that side, oxygen will diffuse into the cells with the aid of hydrostatic pressure, and then they will produce CO2, which will go back into the blood with the aid of what? Of osmotic pressure. And from there, the blood vessels go to take it back to the heart, and from the heart into the what? Into the lungs. So within the lungs, in the blood capillary of the lungs, it's going to get back into the what? Into the alveoli, and then breathe out that CO2. As simple as that. So from this now, I'm going to tell you the types of respiration. Types of what? Types of respiration. We only have two types of respiration. The first one is called the internal respiration, and the other one is called the external respiration. Now, this is the question. What is internal respiration and what is external respiration? Now, to get it very well, let's start with external respiration. External respiration. Shall you see this external respiration? It is the kind of respiration that occurs within the lungs. Everything that happens here is what? Is external respiration. Now tell me what happens here. The major thing is that there is exchange of gases between what? Between the lungs, the alveoli of the lungs here, and what? And the blood, which is inside the blood capillary. Are you getting that? We have the alveoli here, and the alveoli is the part of the lung, right? And then we also have what? We have the blood capillary surrounding it. So the blood. So what happens there is that the lung, it gives oxygen to what? To the blood right here. And now from the blood on the other way around, it gives what back? It gives back CO2. So CO2 from the blood enters into the lungs, and that is external respiration. So from this chart, once you know this, you can easily define external respiration, just like an equation in chemistry. So this will just be what? It is this O2 and CO2. CO2 going to blood, CO2 going to lung. So you can say this alone is the exchange of gases. Exchange of what? Exchange of gases. Now, between what? Between the lungs and the blood. And that is what? External respiration. That is the definition. So it is the exchange of what? Of gases between the lungs and the what? And the blood. But now, come down here. Come right here. What's happening here? What is happening right here is internal respiration. Internal what? Internal respiration. And now the question is, what is internal respiration? You will realize that oxygen is going into the cell, and then the cell is returning it back with CO2. And that is what? Another arrow. So oxygen is going from what? From the blood right here. So blood. So oxygen inside the blood capillary is going to the what? Into the cells. And now CO2 is leaving the cells back into the what? So CO2 is leaving the cell back into the blood like this. With the aid of the osmotic pressure. So from the cell to the what? To the blood. And from the blood to the cells. So as simple as that. To define this, it is the exchange of what? It is the exchange of gases. Now from the way? From the blood to the cells. And now sometimes we call it tissue. This is correct. Because cell plus cell plus cell will give you tissue. Because tissue is the what? The combination of cells. As simple as what? As that. So this is just the introduction to the what? To the respiratory system. Now, and those are the types of respiratory system as well. So the point is I'll clear the board and come with one last diagram for our introductory aspect. And after that, we'll start with the respiratory system itself. I mean the systemic aspect, the organs, like the nose, nasal cavity, larynx, pharynx, etc. So stay tuned. Yeah, welcome back. So I'll bring you the diagram one more time and explain some certain things. Now, let's come with the diagram of the respiratory system once again. So very easy. First thing, come on with your nose, and then the L-shaped structure, and then you invert the L, and you use it to draw the word, to draw the neck. As simple as that. And after that, you bring this backward, double the layer, and then take the advantage to draw your pharynx. Then nearly S shape, but not S. So S. So as simple as that. Then come right here and bring the structure right here. And now write a big U at this joint. So as simple as that. Now write a small u under it. A small u. Then another big U. Now I don't have all the boards myself, so I would like to stop my trachea here. So I can get enough board for other things. So you can continue listing it down if it's yours, sharp. So now do this, do this. Sorry. So Karina. Now lungs. So same thing right here. Now you can illustrate the diaphragm below. Diaphragm. So as simple as that. Now compound it materially. Now let's start. We know that this is the nose. And then this is the nasal cavity. And after that, the two right here is the what? Is the pharynx. And now this structure right here is the larynx. Now I'd like to stop right here because I'd like to teach you what we call the respiratory tract division. So the respiratory tract, so RT, the respiratory what? Respiratory tract is divided into two. So we have two what? Two respiratory tracts. So the first one is called the upper respiratory tract. Upper what? Upper respiratory tract. And the second one is called the lower respiratory tract. As simple as that. Now, the upper respiratory tract, it starts with what? With the nose. And it ends with the what? With the larynx. So, last one. As simple as that. Which means everything right here is the what? Is the upper respiratory tract. URT. And now, after that, you know that air is going to enter through this and then to the larynx, from larynx to the structure called the trachea. The trachea what? The trachea. And from the trachea into this structure called the what? The bronchi. Bronchus for singular. And then into the lungs. Now, this last part from ear to ear is the what? Is the lower respiratory tract. As simple as that. So the lower respiratory tract starts with the trachea and then it ends with the what? With the lungs. So they are very like within the lungs. So those are the two what? The two respiratory tracts. So they have the upper. The upper starts with the nose and ends with the what? With the larynx. So they have a cartilage of the larynx called the cricoid cartilage. That is the one that marks the end of the what? Of the upper respiratory tract. And it initiates or begins the what? The lower respiratory tract. So we're talking about that when we're discussing the larynx alone as an organ. And now, after that, the next thing is what? The next thing is that we have something called the zones of respiration. The zones of what? The zones of respiration. Zones of respiration. Of respiratory system, rather. The zones of what? Of the respiratory system. So we have two zones inside the respiratory system. The first one is called the conducting zone. Conducting what? Conducting zone. Now, what is the meaning of that? From the word conduct. Conduct, here you say it conducts electricity. We say an object conducts electricity. It means that object can take electricity. So that object will allow electricity to pass through it. That is the meaning of the object can conduct electricity. It means the object can allow electricity or electric current to do what? To pass through it. So which means conduction, the word conduction deals with what? With passage. And now the conducting zone, if you are to define it, the conducting zone of the respiratory system is actually the zone that allows what? For the passage of what? Of air. So everywhere that air passes through is what? Is a conducting zone. Which means if air passes through the nose is a conducting zone into the what? Into the nasal cavity. The nasal cavity is also a conducting zone into the pharynx. The pharynx is a conducting zone because it is allowing the passage of air. I hope you are getting that. And from there, it's to the larynx. And the larynx will also allow it to pass. And that is what? That's another thing. And that is trachea. It means what? It's the conducting zone. So the two bronchi. It means the bronchi are conducting zone. And then to the bronchioles. So the smaller branches. So it means they are all conducting zone. So it means the conducting zone will start from where? from your nose to the bronchioles. As simple as that. Because they all allow for the conduction of air, for the passage of air. And now the second zone is called the respiratory zone. Respiratory what? Respiratory zone. And what is the meaning of that? I've told you that the word respiratory is from respire, to breathe, to exchange gases. So respiratory deals with what? With exchange. Exchange of gases. I hope you get that. So the respiratory zone, they are actually the zone that deals with the what? With the exchange of gases. And from our previous diagram, we talked about alveoli and the what? And the blood capillary. So both of them, they are what? They are respiratory zone because they deal with what? With the exchange of gases, oxygen going in and CO2 going back. I hope you get that. Same thing with your blood and your tissue. So that membrane between the blood and the tissue is the what? Is the respiratory zone. As simple as that. So it means your conducting zone is all about the passage of air, but your what? Your respiratory zone is all about what? It's all about the exchange of air. As simple as that. And that will be the end of this introductory class to what? To the respiratory system. And then in our next video, let me see the next class tomorrow. So the point is that we are going to be discussing the what? The systemic aspect of the respiratory system. So which means we are going to be talking about the organs, starting with the nose and the nasal cavity. Until then, I wish you the best. Bye guys.